Tami Walker, captain of this ship, Boxy Queens. Today I thought I would make a little diorama for my own Build-A-Monster from Funko Pop. And I have a little hat, I just cut his little toy cap off. And this is the Don Quixote scene. Originally my creature is named Von Coyote, so I thought he'd be suitable for this piece.
I just started out with some blue foam again. I have these 2-inch chunks, so I'm just setting up my scene. I really want them to look like they're kind of far away because the windmill is such a different scale than my Funko Pop monster. So I decided I'm just going to make a hillside, and I'm using my hot knife to slowly cut away all the pieces and get the slope that I want. This project took about 6 hours to create, and most of the time was waiting for the paint or the glues to dry. And it didn't take too much because all I had was the figurines and needed to set up my little hillside scene and add some grass to it. I recommend buying a high quality hot knife. The one I bought, half of the pieces already broke, so I'll definitely invest in a better one in the future. So I added it perfectly there onto a square. I cut my base into a square shape just to go with my concept a little better. And here I add some toothpicks on the bottom and some glue. And I already toothpicked and glued all the edge pieces together too. And I'm just going to press that down and painted all my variation colors of green, cut the hole out for the windmill on the top. And that's going to take some time, so I'll put it in front of the heater while I go ahead and make my little stone fence. And this is just a blue foam I cut into tiny little piece here and just started drawing out little stones all over. This was took me about the same amount of time as it took for that paint to dry. Let me tell you, this took a long time, and I did both sides to it. I also ended up painting it all dark gray and then light brush some light gray over that, and then use the black with some watered down so I can fill in the cracks with a black color. So I see I've had it set up here that one piece is too tall, so I will cut that down. And I did pull out some other pieces to make them look like they were broken. I like that a little effect. So, and then I added a little off piece there, just something a little different, kind of makes you think why the heck that fence is like that. So I started sampling out my grass, and it's going to work pretty well at covering the cracks that I have. So I didn't really need to put a dirt base down over this. Sometimes I like to try to see how simplistic and minimalist I can do something, just for fun, just to kind of loosen your creativity and get you thinking about other things. So I'm using my spring 2mm mix, and for the lower area I'm going to use that 7mm medium grass. And my idea is to slowly go from small grass down to long grass, and it kind of worked a little bit, but I think it would work better if I had a medium-sized grass to put in the middle instead of trying to mix them in. So I'm putting my Mod Podge mat down, and then I'm using my static grass applicator just to shake it onto there. And at this point it kind of gets covered up a little bit by them crisscrossing over each other, so I dump it off and give it a little shake, and it kind of helps the grass kind of stick up a little more. And I go ahead and I'll do that a second time, or sometimes even 3 times, and just to make sure I get all the glue covered and all the grass on. I have a little grass vacuum cleaner, and that works pretty good at pulling up the grass to make it look like it's standing up more. So I've got all the grass on in it looks pretty good. I mean, I would probably do it different now that I know, but you don't know until you try. So I'm using a little bit of red rock for my pathway. I put my figurine down and made sure not to put the glue where his feet are going to be. And I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this red, just so it's just a little bit mixed in. And then I'm going to use that fine ballast. You can see the container in the back there. And I'm going to cover the rest of it with that fine ballast. So when I shake it off, the red rocks will stay and the ballast will be around it, and it kind of give it a nice little texture. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should have wrote my name in the rocks on the pathway. Sometimes I don't think about these great ideas until I'm completely done with the project. I'm going to use a watered down glue and sprinkle it all over this pathway to really seal it in, but not till after I put my little monster on. So I'm just going to press it down and end up shaking off the excess of that. So it gives a nice little effect, it's cute. So there's my little stone wall, and I started adding some moss anywhere there were cracks, and then randomly all around the walls. And there's this little hat I made. He had a barber's basin that was broken that he demanded off of a man, and that was his helmet that he had. He also had a friend named Sancho, who was his squire, who followed him around and wrote of his great tales. But I don't have a good person yet for him, but I left a spot to put a Sancho in the future. So I've got the windmill glued down. I did cut out some little sections of the windmill just to make it look a little older and more broken and stuff. And I gave him his little sword in his hand, and he has his horse in the other. And I just enjoyed doing this. This was just a fun project. And I suggest looking at your toys and wondering what kind of diorama you can make with them. I drilled a little hole in his foot and glued a toothpick in there, and then skewered him down into the diorama, and then glued all the rocks in around him and painted the base black. The Ingenious Gentleman of La Mancha. That is the movie I would like to see about Don Quixote. If you like dioramas, I do suggest watching a lot of other people making dioramas on YouTube. You'll learn a lot of great tips, and it's very therapeutic.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.